السلام عليكم إخواني وأخواتي المقبلين على اجتياز مباراة التعليم بالتعاقد. Welcome guys again in this new video concerning always English didactics. This new video is an extension of the previous one, which is classroom management. In the part 1 we talked about the definition of classroom management, common classroom management areas. Then we tackled important issues like the roles of the teacher inside the classroom, the qualities of a good teacher, and finally we came up with the roles of the learner. We talked about two main characters in the classroom, which are the teacher and the learner. So in this video we'll extend our talk about classroom management, but however we'll see challenges and barriers of learning or effective learning process, and then we'll see the solutions. So let's open this presentation. Open, please. So we start with what are the barriers and challenges of learning. There are many challenges and hindrances of the teacher and effective learning process. So we have conflicts, quarrels between students, and we'll see how should the teacher deal with these problems and challenges. I listed for you some of these barriers. We have conflicts or quarrels between students. We have disruptive behaviors of students or misbehaviors. We have belatedness. We have students, how can the teacher come up with students' different needs, learning styles, and the teacher should know that the students, his or her students, are not alike. How can the teacher deal with shyness, xenophobia, anxious or anxiety-based learners? And we have physical distraction, noise, outclass noise, and how can he or she deal with students' motivation. And at last we have how to overcome discrimination and racism and etc. in the classroom. So these are the challenges, some of the challenges that hinder the process or the flow of effective learning. Let's move to the solutions. These are suggested solutions. One of the solutions that the teacher should come up with is to establish a pedagogical contract. Let's have a definition of this pedagogical contract. A pedagogical contract is an implicit or explicit contract that a teacher establishes with his students at their first meeting. This contract involves the rules, the norms that govern the classroom setting. The teacher and student agree upon the rules and vow to obey them. Any violation, breaking of the rules would subject the violator to a punishment which is determined by the teacher in concord with the students. We establish some rules and norms to govern classroom setting. This is one of the techniques of classroom management. Let's see why is it important to establish code of conduct or a pedagogical contract. Classroom management problems are among the most troubling issues that teachers often have to deal with. To minimize classroom management problems or anything that may hinder the process of learning, like this disruptive behavior or belatedness in part of students, it is essential that you establish your classroom rules, which may act as a reference that you rely on in case something undesirable occurs in the classroom. Establish your rules, govern your learning process or your classroom setting in general is beneficial for the comfort of the teacher and students to achieve an effective learning. The second thing, how to establish a pedagogical contract with your students. The answer of this question is it is vital that you get to know your student before you establish any contract with them. Once you do so, you can then ask them what must and mustn't be done in the classroom. Then you may cunningly introduce the rules, agree upon them with students, and then suggest punishment for those who violate them. If it is possible, you may even stick the rules on the wall of your classroom if you wish, as a matter of memorization. So let's move. We talked about some of the barriers that can face the teacher or the process of learning. Is there are such students, how can we deal with them? There is no better way to engage shy learners or students in the process of learning than group work tasks or activities. To engage them within groups. Within groups, shy students are more likely to interact actively with others and make use of their potentials. This has proven to be a successful educational strategy by many studies conducted in the field. The solution or the solution of engaging or involving shy students is within groups. They are more likely to cooperate within groups. Let's move to another question. These questions may be asked you during the interview. Pay attention and revise these things. So, how to cater for your students' needs in different learning styles? As I mentioned before, students are not alike. They have different needs. Everyone has different needs and different learning styles. Later on, I'll give you the types of learning styles in, in order to know how to deal with them. It is commonly, let's answer this question. It is commonly known that students have different learning styles and needs. As teachers of English, we must not only cater for these needs and learning styles, but also make use of them in the process of learning. Therefore, when planning, a teacher must include activities, games, and tasks that include movement, speaking, listening, and thinking, so that students with various learning styles actively engage in the process of learning. One of the most preferable methods in teaching is an eclectic approach. In order for the teacher to in order to for covering all the different learning styles, the teacher needs the teacher needs to use different and various approaches and techniques to satisfy all different learning styles. Let's move to another important issue, which is a challenge of the teacher and classroom management, which is an important issue in classroom management. How to deal with conflicts between students. The answer of this question, dealing with conflicts between students, begins by speaking to them privately, listening to both sides' stories, and make a judgment that is logical or fair in and in accordance with the classroom rules that you and your students have set forward or established. Let's go on. Another problem is how to deal with disruptive students. It is like how to deal with conflicts between students. They are more or less the same. Some teachers are inclined to act impulsively and engage in verbal quarrels with disruptive students, which sometimes amount to physical fights. such as such strategy to deal with disruptive students is not effective in handling successfully with disruptive behavior. This is important. The teacher should avoid to engage in quarrels or verbal or just to insult students and to do this. The teacher should avoid. The perfect way to do so is to talk to them privately, get to know their reasons, and try to get close to them in a tactic way. Sometimes such students seek to get your attention, but they don't use the favorable ways to do so. Hence, it is suggested that disruptive students are always engaged in the process of learning so as to minimize the chances of them acting irresponsibly. The teacher should be a psychologist in the sense that he or she tries to know the reasons behind their misbehaviors and to deal with this logically, because violence just grows up violence, or aggressiveness generates aggressiveness. So let's go on to detailed solutions, strategies to deal with disruptive students. So I listed for you these points in order to come up with or to handle these misbehaviors or disruptive issues inside the classroom. Is through some of the techniques is by careful planning of the lesson. It refers to when a lesson is clearly planned and organized, students' attention will be kept on the task and the formation of a vacuum will not be allowed, which may be filled by distracting activities. The second point is fairness. The teacher should be fair. The teacher should always try to avoid having favorites or picking particular individuals. The major part of their job is not to show these preferences or prejudices in the classroom. To, to give equal opportunities to his or her students, and to be fair and to not have prejudices and biases towards his or her students. The third point, interpersonal relationships. If students respect you and each other, they are more likely to cooperate. Mutual respect is very important to solve disruptive behaviors. The last point, methodology. Do not give boring classes. You should vary your teaching techniques and you should time activities very carefully. Let's get to Guess if there are rising problems. The problem has been rising. So how to deal with it? You, sh- you should take an immediate action. React immediately. Don't wait. Do not use threats. Be calm. Be cool. Deal with it quietly. But when the problem has been exploded, do not raise your voice and talk after the class. Let's move quickly to another essential issue that challenges learning and especially the teacher is how to deal with s- different learning styles based learners. There are three learning styles. One, the first type is auditory learners. These this type of students learn through listening and speaking. They like to read aloud, speak up. They prefer to talk to themselves. They memorize by talking out loud. They prefer oral instructions, not written instructions. The second type, we, we have visual learners. This type of learners, they learn through observing and seeing. We have visual. From, from the word, you will know which type we are talking about. They take detailed notes as they listen to lectures. They prefer visual materials like visual aids, blackboard, pictures, videos, charts. They prefer written instructions. Let's move to the third and the last learning style, kinesthetic learners. They learn through moving, acting, doing, and touching. And they enjoy motion-based activities like drawing. They like to use their physical they like to use their physical frame or body. Like one of the activities is drawing, sculpting, athletics, hands-on sciences. These are the three learning styles. So the teacher, in order to target the auditory learners, he should or she should use oral instructions. In visual to target visual learners, you should give or they should give written instructions, while in to target kinesthetic learners, he or she should use activities that is based relied on movements using body in muscles. So let's move to another issue, which is very very crucial in which is types of intelligences. As you know, actually all humans are intelligent. No one is stupid actually. So the difference is in terms of everyone has a different type of intelligence, is unique, has a special intelligence or ability. So this list of these are the types of intelligences according to Garden. The first one is the linguistic intelligence. The learners which are specified with this intelligence are able to use the language effectively, appropriately, either it is written or oral. The second one, naturalistic intelligence. The students or the learners who are specified or identified with this intelligence have the capability to identify, classify, and manipulate elements in the environment. The third one, the musical intelligence. It refers to the ability to perceive. Musical intelligent learners are able to perceive, identify, transform, and express musical forms. Another intelligence, which is logical mathematical intelligence. It is the ability to calculate, carry out mathematical operations effectively in using reason, logic to work out problems. This type of intelligent learners, they like to use their reason or their emotions. They are rational to work out problems. The other type of intelligence, it is interpersonal. These learners are able to understand and interact effectively with the social environment, with people or the others. You find them sociable, they are likable by others because they have social intelligence or social, how to interact with others. The other intelligence, intrapersonal, is the ability to understand oneself and one's thoughts and feelings. The last and not least intelligence, we have the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The learners who are specified with this intelligence are able to manipulate and use variety of physical skills. The last intelligence, which is spatial intelligence, refer it refers to the learners are able to think in 3 dimensions. They prefer to imagine, they dream, speculate in they like also to they like meditation regarding with spatial or space components. So let's move to the last thing issue, which is within classroom management: motivation. This is a key point. How can the teacher motivate his or her students? And there are types of motivations, types of students. How we can target this type and this type? How can we know? There are two types of motivation. There is the first one, which is extrinsic motivation. Refers to extrinsic motivated learners are those who learn to have good marks or good grades and to avoid punishment. So how can we motivate this type? The teacher can bring external rewards, like what? Presents. We have candies, bars of chocolates, foods, etc. Concrete things. The teacher should bring concrete things. The second type, which is intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivated students or learners are those who learn to seek self-enjoyment and self-development or self-improvement. How can we motivate this type? So the teacher may fetch or bring internal rewards like books, short stories, articles, and pens, etc. This type of students like abstract things. Even if you see there are concrete things like books, short stories, articles, but they seek or they look for to self-enjoyment, self-satisfaction, and to develop or to ameliorate their mentality, their personality. This type or these learners are concerned with developing their learning, unlike the first type, which or who, who don't concern or interested in developing their learning and their knowledge. So this is the last thing I have done with this video, but however, let's go over the key points that we have seen so far. We saw the barriers and challenges, some of the barriers, challenges of learning. And I gave you some solutions to, to avoid or to solve these problems, like establishing a pedagogical contract. And these are the things that are related to this code of conduct. And we saw, or we have seen, the strategy to engage shy students in class activities and how to cater for your students' needs in different learning styles. And we have talked about how to deal with conflicts and between students, as well as how to deal with disruptive behaviors. These are some key points in dealing with conflicts with students, and as well as disruptive behaviors. We have gone through either types of learning styles and how to target each each one each one. We have auditory learners, we have visual learners, and at last we have kinesthetic learners. And we go through as well types of intelligences. These are the types. Just read them, read each one carefully, and understand each intelligence characteristics. So we ended up this video or presentation with motivation and types of motivations and how to target and how to motivate each type. So I have done with this video. Thank you very much for your watching, and see you in a next new video. Thank you very much for watching.